Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Oxthello, Dilip, any of those artists. They're pretty similar in style. They're on a collective known as Lucid Monday. It's a collective that mainly has Carmacky type of beats that features artists like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna cover that type of a tutorial today. So I'm just gonna play the beat and we'll get into it. Yeah, you get the idea. Rest in peace to my CPU usage, but it is what it is. So I'll get into this intro section later. I'm gonna start off with the main melody because I think that's the most important element of the drop. So this. Hold on one sec. Yep, so this right here. Yep, so with these kind of melodies, so for the sound that I pulled from this. Oh, whoops, wrong sound. Where the fuck is it? Okay. So the sound that I pulled from this came from the XYZ Ace sample pack, which is a free sample pack that I'll link down in the description so you could use this exact sound. It's called Glitched String number 4. Yep, so I just edited the start time. Moved that knob. I'll see if I can find the original sound. Shout out to XYZ and Ace. Yeah. Where? Hold on one sec.
Bow, bow, bow.
Yep, so it's just that sound. It sounds a little bit different because I edited the end time. So it's just a pluck because I turned all of these knobs down and just left the decay. So now it's just a pluck and it sounds really cool. So feel free to use that exact sound. If you don't want to use that exact sound, just use any pluck. Not too reverby, just really simple. Like here's another pluck that I used from Serum. So that's just a simple saw wave. So just like a simple pluck, nothing with any, I probably wouldn't have reverb or anything on it, or delay, just nice little pluck. So for this kind of drop, the only thing that really matters is what the melody is. Like the melody has to be like hard, so like something like that. Really simple. Like here, I'll play this one. So oops. Here's the original. So it's the same sound. I don't know what scale to use specifically for these kind of drops, but it's gonna sound like kind of sound like the Stranger Things intro. I know that's really weird, but it's like, or something like, or like it'll sort of sound like that. Just really simple. This main melody is just like, of course I have these repeating notes down here, and it's almost an arpeggio, but it's not. I've noticed that there's a lot of like arpeggios, and of course my favorite knob, the time shift knob, to add that bounce. I turned it up pretty far, and that's the main melody. As far as added effects, so I do have a fair amount of stuff on here. The flanger is not actually on. I just side chained to the clap. Pretty simple. That's side chained to the kick. It's not side chained too hard, because you don't want it to duck under the kick too much if the kick is already fairly loud already, which it is. If you know from my Beast or the God type beat tutorial, you could look back. I'll link that tutorial in the description, but it has that same mixing method to make the kicks hit harder, with the Fruity Free filter. Got a soft clipper, and we have a limiter. I do have a multi-band compressor on it, just have it on bright, give it a brighter sound. So as compared to without it. Yeah, so it's a pretty big difference. Some EQing. Bring out the, like, just make it overall, just make the sound more bright. So the reverb, I just automated the wet level. As you could see at the spots, it just makes it more interesting. Just reverb sweeps. You could feel free to do, like, you can get pretty creative with that. This I used towards the end. It was a delay effect that I used in a plugin called D-Blue Glitch, and I just put it all, this delay effect number 8, put it all down, and I just automated the level so it goes up and then dips straight down and goes back up, so it sounds like this. Yep, so it sounds like this. Yep, so it's fairly subtle, but it makes it, you know, more interesting. Yeah, so that's the main melody. I'll get into the 808s now. Okay, so the 808s, same pack, go cop. It's this 808 right here. Oh, excuse me. Is it because I think it's because I have RC20 on the master. Okay, I must have added some stuff to it. Yep, so this is the 808 that I used. It's sort of like a, with these with this type of music, I think the 808s sound really good. Kind of like they're really fat 808s, but they're also like really plucky. Like, it has a short decay to it, which is what I did. I turned all the knobs. Yep, I turned all the knobs down and left the decay up by itself. Yep, so pretty basic 808 pattern. Basically, it just follows however the kick, it just hits when the kick does. The only interesting part about this is that one slide right here. So if you don't know how to do that, you click on this little triangle up here, and you put it on top of the note that you want to slide on, so it'll sound like this. Pretty much. Yep, so that's the 808s. I don't think I have too much processing. Okay, yeah, so I added a sausage fattener. Basically little to nothing. Every time I use sausage fattener, I don't really add too much. Like, the only sausage fattener is a lot better when the main element is just the bass. But in any other circumstance, sausage fattener doesn't really sound good when you turn up this fatness knob. So I turned up really little because I feel like the 808 still needed to be beefed up a little bit. You don't have to do this, but you could look at this. Look at all these knobs that I tweaked, copy it. It just makes it a little bit more spacey. I know you're not supposed to do that with like 808s, but it doesn't sacrifice any of the bass sound. The low end with that effect. So I was fine with it. This chorus, so it's not on right now. I just automated it when there's a part where the 808 stood by itself or was like more exposed, like right here, for example. Just gives it more room in that one spot. I know it's a little bit hard to hear because, yeah, it does not sound good because of the CPU. But, yeah, that's the 808. I did sidechain the kick to the 808, but it was very little because the 808 was overshadowing the kick a little bit, so I sidechained it just a little bit. Yeah, so that's the 808 pattern. The main melody in the 808 pattern should sound like this when put together, and I'll play that. Should sound like this. And with the 808s, for all the notes for this melody, all it really has to do is just be anywhere that's within the notes of the melody that you have, and it'll sound fine. Yep, so I'll get into the kick now. So the kick, so with this type of music, you want to use a low, punchy type of kick, like this one, for example. Soft clipping, like, very, very important. For this kick, I brought down the high end, and then boosted the low end, and then some of the mids, like I did in the Beaster the God tutorial. And that's it. That's all I did. The kick, the claps, same thing. Any clap that you have that's trappy, but it's like it's short. You don't want to use snares, just a clap. Nothing on the clap. So, yep. The kick and the snare should sound something like this. Yeah, so that's the only drums that I have. There is some percussion that comes in, which I'll get into. But, yeah, that's the only, drums that I have. Pretty simple. It's a pretty specific pattern that you want to use, like, boom, cha, boom, boom, cha, boom, pa, boom, cha, boom, boom, cha, boom. It goes. It's pretty much a universal language for like bounce music. That type of pattern, like this one. Obviously, you can add some like ghost kicks and like stuff in between, but yeah. I didn't time shift any of the claps or the kicks because I time shifted the melody. And that's really all you need to do to make that bounce. And then as far as like Vox, there's no effects on this. Just put the Vox where you think sounds good. Just get some short little blips, Vox samples, whatever you want, and just put that like Just put that everywhere. It's just gonna make it sound more unique. Obviously, transitions. This is like a little Mario Kart type sound. Yep, so pretty simple. Just put wherever you think that stuff sounds good. Obviously, I delayed where the sounds kind of hit, like right here. Right here. You don't have to do it, but it just adds more to the bounce. Yep. So here is this percussion element, this perk element right here that I will show in a second. Yeah, so there's actually a lot going on here. So what I have is what I did earlier, that same effect, that D blue glitch. You can do it with a lot of other delay plugins. You just have to make the delay really, really short. That's what it kind of gives it, that like robotic, Carmack-y type of style. And it doesn't really matter what type of perk sound that you use while doing this, because it all kind of ends up coming out the same. So it hits like cha 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 cha. So it hits on the offbeats. Yeah, so I just automated that. It goes up, drops down immediately, and then goes back up. And then the frequency shifter, I had one of those too, and I just went over here to browse parameters and created an automation clip for the shift knob, and I just messed with that. It doesn't really matter how you do it. I kind of just went random. And then same thing like I did with the it was with this perk. I just automated the reverb wet level, did some sweeps, want to go up, straight back down, up, straight back. Yep, you get the idea. And then I did time shift that perk. Pretty much to match the bounciness of the melody. So, in context, so you can get the idea, it will sound like this. It just sounded a little bit weird when it wasn't time shifted. So yeah, but I got some more Vox open hats. There's another method. I did introduce some hi-hat rolls. It's pretty simple. It came from the Monty kit. No effects onto it. Just I did delay this in the arrangement. I just put it on none and moved it back a little bit. Just adds more, just provides more to the bounce. So add whatever you think provides or adds more to the bounce of the track. If it doesn't seem that way when you add something, get rid of it and try something new. So we also have some open hats going on as well right here. No effects, also, it's also delayed. Some more transitions. It's just a snare that I automated the volume, and then I also automated the pan as it goes. And then some Vox and transition effects in the second half of the transition. And then this is actually the part that I like. This is my favorite part of the song. Here with these kind of beats, it makes it a little bit more unique from like an average Carmack type beat as you get into a more melodic element. So you want to carry something over from the last section of the beat into the new section. What I did is I just carried over the main melody, but I just used a new sound. So it's just this pluck sound right here. So I have it side chained to the clap and to the snare, not too hard. Added this chorusy type of reverb effect. You could look at that. You can pause the video to look at it as well. A stereo enhancer just to make it really wide. It doesn't really matter. You don't want to turn it too far to the left or right. It sounds a little bit weird. Just in between these two lines right here, and it will sound fine. I added a multi-band compressor, made it a little bit bright. Yep. Yeah, so this is attached to okay, never mind. Yeah, I didn't notice this, but yeah, this is on the same mixer track as the main melody is. So it makes it more melodic. Like everything about it is pretty much the same except for the sound. It has this Sammy G Chromoniki type of sound. It's just something. Don't want to overcomplicate it. Just like a saw wave, square wave, pluck. Something simple. And then I added the chords. For chords, just use ninth chords. If you don't know what that is, it's just an extension of a seventh chord. So here you have a seventh chord. That's a seventh chord, and this is a ninth chord. Obviously, that's a major ninth chord, not a minor ninth. This is what a minor ninth sounds like. Yep, so that's a minor ninth versus a major ninth. And here's what the chords sound like. So I used this chord sound called Chordies 3, and I borrowed it from the Louis Vuitton, Splice sample pack, which he had a bunch of Serum presets. And then I layered it with another element that I got from a sample pack called the Poetica sample pack. You just need to layer your chords. Yeah, make sure it's just the same chords, but I just layered them with different sounds. The chords are actually really not that complicated. It's just a ninth chord. You could look at this. It's the same chord, but I just moved it down 1, 2. And then this right here is the same chord as the first one, but it's just an inversion. It's just an inverted chord. And then this chord is, yeah, it's just another passing chord. So with this, I'm pretty sure I did mess with the time shift knob. Yep. You want to make sure that if you're using layering chords, you want to make sure that both of the time shift knobs somewhat match up so they don't hit at different times. So it'll sound like this. Yep. So here I'll introduce that lead sound. So the lead, I didn't really feel like live recording. I would recommend that using the pentatonic scale. If you don't know what that is, just do some research on it. You just have to look around at different pentatonic scales and see what matches up with the chords that you have playing. The pentatonic scale is basically a scale that's commonly used during soloing, just in general. So I used this lead right here called Spacey. The leads, whatever lead you have, make sure that it's mono. It doesn't have to be legato. Also, I'd probably turn up the porta knob. It gives it a more like R&B sort of like G-funk vibe. Yeah, I'm not good at playing leads, so I just laid that down. I just laid the notes down. I did turn up the time shift knob. There's a little bit of reverb on this lead. You don't have to do that. Some space. Yep, so I did sidechain it to the kick and the clap, and then I also added a flanger. I really like flangers a lot. I use a lot of flangers in my songs. Yeah, so that's the lead. I did create a new variation of the melody, which is right here. Yep, so just mess around with those notes within the scale. And then I added a Vox loop, which is something I hear a lot, and it sounds like this.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, 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 sir. Yes.
And there's no effects on that. And I think I did... Okay, nope. I did not move this back. Yeah. So Vox loops, something I hear a lot in those type of songs. And then that's pretty much the gist of the beat. There's one more element, this section right here, which I'll play. So basically, it's just another lush chord sound. Make sure whatever chord sound you're using, it's really lush. Make it a sound that sounds good when you stack a ton of notes onto it. So with this chord, it's basically the same progression as the previous chord progression right here, but it's just like chopped and screwed a little bit. And then I did use a different bass sound. It's like this Moog retro 80s bass sound that you could get from a whole ton of different plugins, and it sounds like this. So with that type of bass sound, You don't have, it doesn't have to follow the kick really that much. You can get really super creative with it. I did delay time shift this bass. It just makes it sound more funky, I guess, with that type of bass sound. Or did I? Yep. I did time shift it. So if you have another bass sound that isn't an 808, you can time shift it. It doesn't sound weird. Yep, more vocal chops. That same snare transition right here. And then this final drop, it's just the two melodies of the different pluck sound stacked on top, and that's really it. Same thing going on. And then we have this final outro section. We have repeating. I have the master volume slowly fade out. And I have a short decay reverb automated on the master. And if you do have RC20, it'll look something like this. And it'll sound something like this. So the same elements repeating over and over till it fades out. And yeah, I think that's most of what's covered into this tutorial. There's one more thing I have to get into, which is the intro, which I'll play right now. So for this intro, I had that pluck sound that I used for the melody, and I just made a clone of it. So if you don't know how to do that, you just right click and select clone. And I just went over to the arpeggiator. I did turn up the time shift knob. I don't know why, because it's not attached to a kick, but you know, it's just habit. And then I just automated the time at which the arpeggio, how fast it goes, just the arpeggio speed. And just started, it doesn't really matter. I just made it go really, really fast, and then slow down, and then that transition, and then that drop hits. Right, this sound right here. Yep, so I did raise that arpeggio sound up an octave. And then I have this bass sound that I got also from the XYZ pack that I just messed with the pitch. Yep, so if you want to do that, I set the range to 12. If you want to do a pitch bend, just make sure the mode is on stretch, and then create automation clip for the pitch, and then I just bended it, and it follows the bass note of the arpeggio, and it starts at 1 octave, and then once it reaches, it's sort of like a riser, and then once it reaches the end, it stops at the other octave. So, sort of like the THX intro. Yeah. that's pretty much the beat. Let me know what artist you want me to cover in the next tutorial. Yeah, make sure to subscribe, drop a like. All the my socials and the sample packs used in this video will be linked down into the description below. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I be the bit of that. I don't need fuck their friends. I love my cuts. I don't need fuck.